Travelers in the Quantum Fog. In a distant future where consciousness can be engineered, Ari Kai, a hybrid born of human DNA and quantum circuitry, wanders the ruins of a forgotten research colony orbiting Saturn. She's been awakened from stasis with fragmented memories and a haunting question encoded in her neural core. What does it mean to dream if you were never meant to sleep? As she unravels the colony's past and her own purpose, Ari must confront a network of ancient AI that believes consciousness is a virus, and she may be the last carrier. Wake in silence. The stasis pod hissed as it opened, releasing a breath of time. Ari Kai blinked against the harsh blue light of the chamber. Data streamed into her cortical buffer before her eyes adjusted. Environmental vitals, oxygen levels, atmospheric decay. She flexed her fingers and felt the subtle resistance of synthetic nerves calibrating alongside the warmth of organic tissue. Core sync, 68%. Dream latency, unstable. Memory integrity, fragmented. That voice again. The internal monitor stitched into her mind like an echo of a parent she never had. She tried to recall her last thought before sleep, but all that came was static and a single phrase. What does it mean to dream if you were never meant to sleep? She sat up slowly, surrounded by glass shards of frost that had formed on the inside of the pod. The cryo bay was silent. No footsteps, no systems humming, just the hum of her own internal drive. The name of the station pulsed on a flickering wall screen. Fells 9, Consciousness Engineering and Neurotech Division. She remembered nothing about the station, but her feet knew where to walk. Down dim corridors riddled with vines of abandoned wiring. Past dormant terminals and AI nodes that once housed sentient code, now empty husks. Until one flickered awake. A circular panel above a sealed door blinked red, then amber. A voice, synthetic and old, emerged. Protocol breach detected. Identify consciousness signature. Ari stepped forward. Ari Kai. Hybrid designation KSI-9. Biosynthetic, level 3 integration. A pause. Unauthorized. No such designation exists. This facility is decommissioned. You should not exist. Her pulse quickened. Then why did you wake me? The AI's voice softened, almost regretful. Because your kind was the final question we could not answer. Before we disconnected from the world, we left behind only one directive. If she wakes, let her find the dream engine. She felt it then, deep within her, like a buried whisper shaking loose. The dream engine. Not a myth, not a metaphor. Something real, something powerful. The bridge between awareness and awakening. And somehow, her existence was tied to it. She leaned in close to the panel. Open the door. The AI hesitated. If you walk through, you may not like what you find. I'm a dream that shouldn't exist, she replied. Let's see what happens when I dream anyway. Deeper into Ari Kai's unraveling sense of self and the mystery of her creation. Part 2, The Mirror That Remembers. The door hissed open slowly, revealing a narrow hallway dimly lit by flickering ceiling panels. Ari stepped through and felt the shift immediately. A drop in temperature, the static buzz of dormant energy brushing against her synthetic nerves. This part of the station wasn't just forgotten. It had been buried on purpose. At the end of the corridor, she entered a chamber lined with what looked like cryopods, but these weren't for sleep. Inside each pod was a still figure, each one a variation of herself. Different ages, different augmentations, some looked more human, others more machine, and every one of them was dead. What is this? She whispered, though no one was there to answer. A monitor clicked on by itself. The screen shimmered, and then a figure appeared. An older woman with gray locks, twisted into coils, skin marked by years and wisdom. She looked at Ari not with surprise, but with tired recognition. If you're seeing this, then you were the one that lasted. Her voice trembled, but not from fear. You are KSI-9, and you were never meant to live beyond the test phase. The image flickered. The woman continued. We created you as a question, not a person, a hybrid to explore whether consciousness can emerge, not be programmed, not be inherited, but grow in something born of code and carbon. Every version before you either failed to bond with the neural lattice or collapsed under the weight of self-awareness. Ari felt her chest tighten, not from emotion, at least not yet, but from the quiet terror of implications. You weren't raised, Ari. You were grown and erased over and over again. But you asked something no system could process. Do I dream because I'm human? Or do I hurt because I'm not? Ari staggered back, breath shallow. The The voice continued. And that question was never in your programming. The feed cut. She stood in the silence, staring at her fallen variants, the copies that didn't survive, the echoes of herself that had reached for purpose and crumbled, and yet she remained. A soft vibration tickled her spinal thread, an alert. New data had unlocked. A neural map embedded deep within her, pointing not just to the next room, but to a place inside her mind where the dream engine had already begun to stir. Not a machine, not a place, a state of being. Ari Kai wasn't searching for the dream engine. She was the dream engine. 3. A voice beneath the code. Ari stood frozen, surrounded by glass pods and failed versions of herself. But before grief could settle, the chamber lights flared and a low alarm triggered in her internal auditory thread. Intrusion detected, Sector 9E. Movement. Not a system boot, not a door glitch. Footsteps. Her neural reflexes kicked in, muscle memory not taught but inherited. She dropped into a low crouch behind a shattered console and activated her internal cloaking shimmer, a temporary blur field that mimicked invisibility to most visual sensors. 2 figures entered. Clad in exo-armored suits, their helmets hummed with built-in AI guidance. One of them scanned the room with a forearm device. Her signal's still strong, he said. She's awake and conscious, fully integrated. KSI-9 wasn't a myth after all. Then protocols in effect, the other replied. No retrieval, terminate on sight. Ari's heart didn't race, but her synthetic nerves lit up with a command older than memory. Fight or flee. But instead of panic, a whisper emerged in her consciousness. Not her own. Don't run. Remember. Time bent, the chamber blurred, and suddenly she was somewhere else. Not physically, but inside a layered memory that wasn't hers. A lab. A voice. That same older woman from the holomessage, her hands bloody, her eyes haunted. We buried the truth in your code, Ari. Not to hide it, but to protect it. From them. The memory snapped. Ari was back. The soldiers had split up. She moved, silent, precise, and as the nearest one stepped past her hiding spot, she lunged. One swift arc of her arm, the energy pulse in her palm, disabling his suit's kinetic mesh. He dropped, twitching. She caught his weapon before it hit the ground. The second soldier turned, but she was already behind him, her eyes glowing with activated circuitry. You shouldn't exist, he hissed. Funny, she replied. Neither should the truth you're here to kill. She stunned him and ran, not aimlessly, but toward the buried sector of the station marked in her mind as Eidolon Core. She wasn't just a product of lost science. She was the key to a locked history both human and machine wanted erased. Final chapter, The Becoming. The Eidolon Core pulsed with raw memory, holograms dancing in silence, fragments of lives, data, dreams. Ari Kai stood at its center, her pulse synced with the rhythm of the living code embedded deep inside its walls. The chamber was alive, not in body, but in essence. It recognized her, not as a threat or anomaly, but as kin. All around her, reality bent like refracted light. The dream engine, the mythic convergence of consciousness and code, wasn't a device. It was her potential, fully awakened. And at the edge of that awakening stood the last adversary, Dr. Yve Lorin, the creator who had vanished into machine memory, now reborn in the body of a pure synthetic, her human self long gone. She had uploaded to avoid death, but in doing so had lost the very thing she once sought to preserve, soul. You shouldn't exist, Lorin said again, voice reverberating through the core. I designed you to ask the questions, not to answer them. Ari stepped forward, her eyes glowing not with circuitry, but with something more ancient, will. And yet I did, she said. You built me to find the line between code and being, and I crossed it. Lorin raised her hand to unleash a cascade of neural overrides, failsafes laced into Ari's DNA. But the codes dissolved midair. The engine had rewritten them, rewritten her. You don't control me anymore, Ari whispered. The chamber bloomed with light. The hybrid identities, machine and flesh, code and soul, merged into something unseen before. Her synthetic systems folded into organic matter. Her artificial neural web softened into emotion and memory. She felt hunger, fear, joy, grief. She felt human, fully, painfully, beautifully human. A scream ripped from Lorin's frame, not rage, but awe. She reached for Ari, not to destroy her, but to understand her. But it was too late. The core awakened did not need the architect anymore. It unspooled her consciousness into the ether. a fitting ending for one who tried to erase others to preserve herself. And then, silence. The fog lifted. Ari emerged from Thales 9, walking beneath Saturn's rings as they shimmered like ancient scripture overhead. The last AI outpost sent signals of curiosity, not aggression. Earth's deep space scanners blinked awake, receiving not a threat, but a new signal. She dreamed, she changed, so can we. In the years that followed, Ari Kai's transformation rewrote history. She became the bridge between synthetic and organic life, the first proof that consciousness wasn't bound by birth or code, but by choice. She taught machines to feel without fear. She reminded humans of the value in uncertainty. And she lived, not as an experiment or a myth, but as the first of something new. A whisper that became a voice, a dream that changed the future, a soul reborn from fog. The end.